That's classic. We bring you great laughs and a unique behind-the-scenes look at classic television shows and movies. I'm John Cato. I am an actor, voiceover artist, and also bring you an amazing insight as a moderator with over 20 years experience in the television industry.
Fantastic. So what can I say? Very exciting day today. We have none other than, I couldn't even say utter, none other than Henry Winkler. And what an honor, a true honor to have him. Obviously, everyone knows him from the past as the Fonz, but all the accomplishments he's done all the way through his books with Hank Zipser and just a wonderful, wonderful person. So anyway, we're thrilled to have you. Bob Bergen, of course, is my co-host on this, as I like to say, voiceover extraordinaire. And so it's just a real thrill. So Henry, thank you very much for being here.
You know what? It is my pleasure. We don't really know each other, do we, John?
No, well, we met one time. I'll tell you.
We met one time. And now, and here we are together on screen. I was invited by Bob, and as soon as I saw Bob's name, I thought, you know what? I've got to do this. I've got to chat with these guys, and I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I have to say, Henry Winkler has a reputation of being like one of the, if not the nicest human being in show business. Henry, you and I have met several times.
Yes.
The first time we met, I think, was when you were working on Duck Dodgers with me at Warner, which was a Looney Tunes cartoon. And I said to you during a break, I'm going to tell you, I'm starstruck. And you just got that look on your face and you just giggled and you just were so sweet and so nice and just shared so much of yourself with me. Cut to the next week. Our guest that week was Quentin Tarantino.
Oh my jeez.
And Quentin Tarantino comes up to me and says, I just have to tell you, I'm starstruck. And I'm like, it's all relative. It is all, Quentin Tarantino is starstruck with Porky Pig. Porky Pig is starstruck with Henry Winkler. And that's what makes the world go round.
It's great. It really is. And you know what? I really do love, well, first of all, I get tongue-tied when I meet musical stars, when I meet Sia, or I met Mick Jagger twice.
Wow.
And still haven't gotten a complete sentence out.
Right.
But I really love when I see somebody that I watched on screen that is so good at what they do. And a lot of times I write a letter because I think that they should know that whatever they're thinking in their mind is happening in the world.
Can I actually, I want to take that on a segue, by the way. On your initial audition for the Fonz, I had read that was kind of your reaction, that when you walked into the room, that you were like, oh my God, everyone I've seen on television is in this waiting room, right?
But that really is true. That was at Paramount Studios. It was like a week and a half after I landed in Los Angeles. And I was only going to be here for a month because I was so scared. You know, I had $1,000 for making commercials. And when that ran out, I had to go home.
What was it also money from Lords of Flatbush? Is that true too?
No, I made no money from Lords of Flatbush.
Wow.
I had finished it the night before I got on the plane with Perry King, who was also in the movie. We were on American Airlines flight number 1 from New York City to Los Angeles. And I made, I think, $2,000 for the year of the filming of Lords of Flatbush. But I did take the motorcycle, the engineer boots that I bought on 23rd Street in New York City to wear, because you had to buy your own costume to be in the Lords of Flatbush. And I used those boots for the Fonz. And now those boots are in an auction that I'm having of my memorabilia sometime in December at Bonham auction house.
Auction house. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So let's go back. So you're in that waiting room. You walk in, Do you remember like who you see that you're like, oh my gosh?
Well, I remember that I saw one of the monkeys that I used to watch on television,
Wow.
right? And that was crazy. And then all of the actors, Circus Boy was there, that I used to watch on TV. Mickey Dolenz, you know, one of the monkeys. It was just everybody I've ever seen on TV in my age category, and I was older than most. Remember, I was playing a 17-year-old, and I was 27 at the time.
Yeah, right.
And I was so intimidated. And then when I went in that room, this is a great tip for actors. All I did was change my voice, and it unlocked my imagination, and I could do anything.
Wow.
You know, it's interesting you said that. I mean, that's what I do for a living, is I change my voice. But I studied acting with Bobby Hoffman.
He was our casting person.
I know he was. I know he was.
He was a very important person in my life.
Bobby Hoffman was a dear. I was a tour guide, Henry, at Universal from 82 to 87. And all of us studied with Bobby. And his class was at Paramount in his office. And Bobby, I would say 90% of his class was advice for actors. And he said the same thing that my buddy Bryan Cranston says. Don't go in there trying to do what you think they want.
Oh my gosh, I say the same thing. That is exactly right. You're bringing your imagination. What do you got, a 50-50 shot? You're either, you know, there is no right, there is no wrong. Just you go for the gold. Sorry.
Exactly. And by the way, we only have limited time, but how awesome is it that you're now playing an acting teacher?
Yeah, no kidding.
And you know what? I honestly, in November, for Vulture, for their live masterclass series here in LA, I'm going to hold a masterclass at the Roosevelt Hotel for Vulture.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait. I taught once for Gary Marshall at Northwestern. I taught when I was making Here Comes the Boom. I taught 3 classes because we made it in Boston at Emerson, my alma mater.
Right.
I went there 3 different times. I went to South by Southwest and held a class. And I thought, you know what, a few people will show up. I mean, everybody wants to go and see a movie or whatever it is. 600 people came to fill up this hall. And it was, I'm telling you, I was in heaven. And now I'm going to do it at the Roosevelt Hotel in November for Vulture Masterclass.
Now it's fascinating to me that on cable right now, 2 of the hottest shows, Barry and Kaminsky, have an acting teacher. And
yeah, truly amazing.
Have you and Michael shared notes on?
You know what? I saw Michael and his beautiful wife backstage after we had seen Bruce Springsteen.
Oh,
and we talked about it there. And I'm still pissed off that I have now met Bruce Springsteen 3 times at 3 different concerts and never had the nerve to say, I've got to take a selfie.
Oh my gosh. Henry, I remember, I mean, by the way, the one time we met, I was with Thomas Harris, and you walked into the entryway, and you had, I remember this distinctly. You had like a video camera with you, but you came, yeah, always, exactly. And you told me that, and I was sitting there, and I thought, wow, you know, I was just like Bob. I was starstruck when I saw you. I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is Henry Winkler, and you were like the kindest person I've met in this business, and you were also more interested in me than I could even get words out to be interested in you, and I was so taken by that and that kindness that you show. So anyway, the one thing I remember.
Let me just say one thing.
Sure, go ahead.
People have always said, hey, he's the nicest guy in Hollywood, or he's one of the nicest guys in Hollywood.
Right.
Here's the thing. This is the truth. I am grateful. I am grateful that I'm on the earth. I'm grateful that I had a dream, and I'm going to be 76 in a week.
Wow.
And I am still here having the greatest time doing Barry. We're shooting the 3rd season.
Yeah.
And doing, our newest novel is just out with Lynn Oliver, the alien superstar.
Wow.
Holy mackerel. And I get to do a voiceover on Monsters at Work.
It's just great though that you have that thankfulness, because you've had it the whole time. I mean, there's truth there.
Bob, I am not trying to invade your space.
Okay. Hey, listen, you know what the lovely thing about this business is, because I teach animation voiceover, and what I always tell my students is there's enough work for everybody, but gratitude goes a long way.
Yeah.
So you know how
let me ask you a question. What is, to you, what is the most important thing if your students are going to get something from you about voiceover? What is it?
The number one thing is hard, but it's called voice acting for a reason. It is acting. Now, speaking of Pixar, I saw Tom Hanks on, Graham Norton. He's a British talk show host.
I know it well.
Yeah. And he asked Tom Hanks, what was it like doing the first Toy Story? He goes, oh, it's so hard. He said, as an actor, I so rely on that camera. I so rely on a raised eyebrow, a look, a tear. You have to vocalize everything. It has to be drawn. And you're here with a microphone, and there's a piece of glass, and there's a bunch of people over there, and they're not pushing the talk back button, and they're yelling at each other. And you're thinking, well, right now they're calling Henry Winkler to replace me because obviously I suck. And all they're doing is ordering lunch as far as he's concerned. Look, you've got to start with acting. Study acting, improvisation, become a great actor, then study voiceover. But like we were saying earlier, your job is to audition. You will be at your creative best in your home studio auditioning for that voiceover job, because once you get the job, they're going to start peeling off those layers of creativity and telling you what the network wants and the studio wants and this one and that one. And you just have to go with the flow, because you're an actor for hire.
Yeah, you have to learn to just say, yes, I can do that.
That's right.
And if you want to come back next week, if you want to come back to the next episode. And by the way, at the end of that moment, I will say, hey, can I try one just for me? And they never say no.
Right.
But God, Henry, there's so many answers to that question.
Then let me ask you another question. How many voices are inside you?
Good question. A better question, how many characters are inside?
Okay. How many characters have you brought to life, do you think?
I don't know, and here's why. I just recorded an elf for a Christmas thing. It's an elf that sounds like an elf. It's just an elf. But I can guarantee in a few months, someone's going to want to make him a leprechaun. Same voice. Totally different character, So,
but you know what? You went from the elf to an accent from another country. Right. That not everybody can do that. It took me a long time to break in, because I can't do what you just did.
But you have to be a superb actor. You don't have to do a million voices to work in animation. You just have to make those words come to life.
Wow.
Just like you have to do on stage or on camera. So I have a Happy Days question. I don't know if you've ever been asked.
Go ahead.
When you guys first started, and this was a Gary Marshall thing, Odd Couple started as a single camera sitcom. Yeah. And then it was multicam. Happy Days started as a single camera.
Yes.
What was the thought process to go multicam? And
I'll tell you exactly one word: cancellation.
Oh, that'll do it.
We were almost canceled, and Gary said, I have an idea. Let me try multicam. And they said yes, and we then took off like a rocket.
And so what changed as far as the technique, the characters? Because I remember it was actually before you did one episode, I think the second season, when it was still doing single cam as a multicam, almost like a pilot multicam try. And it was like you'd always done it. But
I'll tell you what was amazing. what was amazing is that Donny Most was from the East in the theater. I was from the East in the theater. Tom Bosley was from the East and had won a Tony in the theater. Ron Howard was only film.
Interesting.
And I'm telling you, the first time we did it in front of a live audience, that young man at 18, Ron Howard, took to it like a duck to water. It was seamless.
Wow.
That he went from acting in front of a camera to acting in front of a camera for an audience. It was stunning. And then we became this couple, this acting team. I'm telling you, there was like this invisible thread between us. Wow. We could take, after the show is over, 12 o'clock at night, Friday night, you're tired, but now we're rewriting. The writers are rewriting because what worked, what didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Howard and I could take a scene, we could rehearse it, memorize it, and shoot it 3 times in 20 minutes because there was something completely unspoken. He went where I went where he went. I never got over it.
It's called chemistry. And by the way, he may not have ever done theater, but I think for any actor, once you experience what it's like to get that audience response, it's like a drug,
Yeah, but you have to wait for the audience. Remember, you can't laugh, or you can't say your line through the laugh. They miss the joke.
He was such a pro.
It was astounding how adaptable he was at that moment. He was scared out of his mind, which I only learned later.
Was he really?
He didn't show anything like that. Yeah. He was petrified.
Wow. And he'd been in the business forever.
But only on film.
Wow, that's really amazing. That's quite a story. Hey, earlier Bob brought up Tom Hanks, and it's hard to let that one just fly by. I know that he was on Happy Days. Did you have an inkling at that time, like, wow, this guy is something else, or not?
You know what? There were so many actors who came through for the 255 episodes that we did, and so many went on, and some just didn't know how to perpetuate their spirit into the universe.
Right.
Tom was great. He was powerful. Robin Williams. Robin Williams, remember now, we rehearse Monday through Friday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Get into makeup, get into costume, do an afternoon show, get notes, and then shoot it for real.
Right.
By Wednesday, we didn't have a morgue. So somebody was reading, his lines.
Oh, yeah, right.
Bobby Hoffman brought Robin Williams about 11 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday.
Oh, my gosh.
And this very shy man said very little. Hi, how are you? Just made noises. He picked up a script. And it was like, I don't know, a bomb went off.
Wow.
Like you were just pushed back in your space. And I realized, I've said this before, but I realized at that moment, I had 2 jobs that week. Remember your lines and get out of his way. Yeah. Because there is no way you're going to even compete with this brilliance in front of you.
And what a moment to have witnessed.
There's a lot on the cutting room floor that we never saw because he would regurgitate brilliance that you can't do in 22 minutes.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, it's so funny. We had 3 cameramen when we did our show. There were not 4 or 5 cameras at that time. So multicam was 3 cameras. And these cameramen were like at the beginning of film, Sam, Louis, they sat on that camera. Yeah. And when they finally did Robin Williams' own show, he, as you said, he just improvised. You didn't stop him. And so Gary said, everybody good? And Sam said, he never came by me. He never went by my camera. And they added the fourth camera, which was only for Robin.
Oh
Wow.
wow, that's amazing. We had Anson Williams on the show, and he said that the writers literally followed him while he was going, like they were just writing like crazy when Robin.
And
Williams
also, let me just say, eventually, our script, a half an hour script, was I think 54 pages. Their script was 30 pages on Mork and Mindy. And the reason was that it said, Robin will do something here.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. That's
Wow.
incredible. Hey, you know what? I gotta throw this out because we're gonna have fans watching this and stuff. Tell me, with the whole, Aaayyy or whatever, was that your, like, did you come up with that? Because I had heard that you had your own vision of like Fonz. You didn't let him comb his hair. You kind of,
Well, you know what? The story of not combing my hair is that I didn't want to be like every actor that ever played a character like the Fonz.
right.
So they said, oh, you have to go to the mirror and comb your hair. And I went, oh my God, I made a promise to myself I would never comb my hair. And I went to the mirror and I went, hey, look at that. I don't have to because it's perfect. But they wrote that, the sound, but I used it differently because I could reduce an entire paragraph to just a sound. And then eventually, horseback riding was my favorite sport at the time.
Wow.
I added, whoa.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
whoa, get over here. Whoa, hey, whoa, where you going? Paula, get over here.
But
Sorry,
the voice
I'm
comes back, Henry. The voice
Oh, it
comes
does. It does.
It does.
Listen,
It just-
I love him. I love him. You know how wonderful he is? He has read my new book.
I'll bet he has.
Yes. And
Wow.
he's given me notes.
Good.
And he liked it a lot. He laughed. He said it's
When-
Hollywood versus the galaxy.
When does the book come out?
It
Yes.
came out just a few days ago.
Oh, it did. Okay.
And I have to say, with no modesty whatsoever, I think it would be a great holiday gift.
There you go.
Third grade to seventh grade.
It's a wonderful pitch. Why? How can you not enjoy that? Hey,
Yeah.
Henry, I had another question for you. Bob and I, we did a Happy Days episode where we just talked. Then we also had Anson Williams on, and the jumping the shark. Is it true that you actually were a water skier yourself?
Yes, I was a water skier. I was a counselor in camp, a water ski counselor. So I did all the water skiing except for jumping the shark when they brought in a real stunt person from Florida. And you'll notice if you watch the episode again, I let go of the rope and I pulled up on the beach and stepped out onto the sand.
Yeah.
And then I smiled. So
Mhm.
half the smile is the Fonz going, hey, I made it. The other half is Henry going, oh my God, I made it.
That's awesome.
Hey, I have
Go ahead,
a non-happy
Bob.
day, friend. I got a non-happy days question. I don't even know if you've talked about this in a while either, but when I was a teenager, first of all, I wear a prosthesis. I was born without a foot. And every time there would be something on TV with kids who have overcome whatever, my mom and dad would make me watch it just as a, hey, you're not alone sort of thing.
Right.
You did a documentary, I think it was called The Debolts.
That's right. Who are the Debolts and where did they get 19 kids?
Henry, it made such an impact on me. I wrote a paper on it in junior high because it was so lovely. And it was so, how did you get involved with that?
I'll tell you. It was first a documentary in the movies. And it won, I think it won an Oscar, but they couldn't get it on television. And Charlie Haid, who was a friend of mine, who was on Hill Street Blues as one of the cops, he came and he said, can you help get this on TV? I went to a party with all of the presidents. I think it was like an affiliates party where the owners of stations from all over the country come, and all the presidents of ABC were there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to each one of the presidents and I made the pitch, hey, I'll narrate it. How about if we put it on, because it just won an Oscar and it's mind-blowing. They came back, Tony Thermopoulos, who was one of the presidents at the time, came back and they said, yes, we'll do it and we'll put it on Thanksgiving Day. I thought, oh my God, I don't know if anybody's going to watch it.
Wow.
So I went to, Paul Newman, Burt Reynolds, Clint Eastwood, John Ritter, and said, watch this. I'm going to do it. And it's 72 minutes. If you don't agree with me, forget it. If you do, will you make a television commercial for me for this documentary? They all said yes.
Did you know them all? Like,
no,
when you were asking them?
I knew John Ritter. John Ritter was my very good friend.
Right.
Okay, sure.
But I'm going to tell you something. When you went and you talked to Paul Newman, who was like a gigantic movie star at the time, and a race car driver, and just when you went and talked to him and he looked at you in the eye, you could not look away, even if you wanted to, until he looked away. And then it was like you were in like a beam of like, I don't know what, some outer space. Zzz. Then of course I went on to direct Burt Reynolds in a movie, Cop and a Half.
Oh yeah.
Which was an experience all of its own. And then I stood behind Clint Eastwood and no one could see me. It was like I was hidden by a curtain of human being. He was
He's that
so
tall,
gigantic, and wide.
Wow. That's something. Okay, come on. You can't drop that Cop and a Half bit and say that's a story all on its own. What was that like working with Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds was very tough. And Burt Reynolds wanted to be in control. So we flew to Florida. We're going to film it in Tampa because that was good for Burt. I'm at his house for a party the night before with the crew, the cast, his friend who is the head of stunts. He comes walking down his stairs and he stops in the middle of the stairway and he goes, I just got off the phone with Ron Howard. He said, I can fire you anytime. I said, Burt, let me know right away. I got another film lined up. I'm ready to go. And I spent 65 days directing Burt Reynolds and a 7-year-old who had never done a film before in Cop and a Half, and it opened #1.
Oh,
Wow.
That's so cool. Wow, that's so great. I asked earlier, I mentioned the video camera. I got to know, and maybe it's a personal thing, but what do you do with all of, I mean, you said that you always had it with you, and Anson Williams said that if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have all the softball footage. They wouldn't have all of that if it wasn't for you.
Do you know what? Somebody is doing a documentary on Night Shift, which was Ron Howard's first movie for a major studio. And I took home movies, but at that time it wasn't tape. It was 8mm film with sound, with a little soundtrack.
Wow.
So I have Ron Howard directing me through the camera.
Oh, wow.
And I said, hey, Ron, did you like that take? And he said to me, well, if you did it this way, I'd probably print it. And I went, oh, got it. So I went back to the original, but I gave the footage to the documentary maker.
Do you have like boxes of this? I mean,
I do. I have boxes of cassettes, and they're upstairs somewhere. And some of them, the children's movies, I have sent. What is that? The thing that advertises? Send in your tape, and we'll put them on. We'll put them on DVD in a box, legacy box.
Yes,
I have sent them to legacy box, and I've gotten back CDs that I watch with my children sometimes.
Didn't you have a little bit of shpilchas when you send it away, hoping it's going to come back?
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
I do, but they have been, so far, they've been really good.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Hey, Did
maybe because I've mentioned them, they won't charge me a fortune now.
Hey, there you go. Free plug.
I'll make sure to send this to them. Hey, the other one that I've heard is Marion Ross. I heard that you and her are like, I know you're close with the cast, but I heard you're very close with her.
I'm
Is that
taking
true?
her to lunch next week.
She just turned 93, I think. She's
Yeah.
amazing. She just blows me away.
Oh my God, she's one of the great women
Mhm.
of the 21st century. And I will tell you that she was funny. Her talent, limitless. She could do, like John Ritter, she could do comedy. She could do drama. It didn't matter. And she was perfect at both. She's a good friend. She is a supportive friend. Every time I do something and she sees it or hears about it, she calls me up and lets me know. And we're having an Italian lunch next week.
Awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's somebody I have to say, Bob, we have to talk. I think Marion would be amazing to have on this
Oh,
show.
you would love her so much.
Wow.
She's
wow.
she's got a body sense of humor. She was a neighbor of mine. I don't know if I'm in Woodland Hills. I don't know if she's still in this neighborhood.
Yes, she is.
But I used to see her all the time, and she reminded me a lot of Florence Henderson. Both of them have well, we have one, but
And Betty White.
and Betty White. I mean,
I could see
they're
that.
like, Mrs. Cunningham shouldn't talk like this. Mrs. Brady shouldn't talk like this. No, but Florence and Marion do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Wow, that's amazing.
And her son Jim is one of the most brilliant voice talents. out there.
Great guy, funny guy.
Yeah.
Jim Meskerman.
Yeah.
I sorry, I'm gonna always go back because I got to know these things. But when you did Lords of Flatbush, of course, you work with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Another thing I had read is that when you did Fonzie, you were inspired by him. Is that
In the
true?
beginning, I would think I would see him in my mind because here was an exterior that was so tough. And he talked like this, you know, and he didn't take anything from anybody. He would look at people filming us on the street of Brooklyn. He would say, "What are you looking at? I'm going to eat you for lunch." And inside, he was so funny, dry, funny, and a writer. He never stopped writing. He painted his windows, Sly Stallone, in New York City black, so he would never be influenced by what time of day he sat down at his typewriter.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So now he is driven out to California with Sasha, his first wife, and their bull mastiff, who there was so much slobber from this dog that the back seat, you needed fins and a mask. His car breaks down on Sunset Boulevard. He calls me up. I go and I pick him up. I pick up and we pack everything that he owns, his dog and his beautiful first wife, into the car, and I drive them to their apartment off of Sunset Boulevard in one of those complexes.
Oh, wow.
So now he calls me, he said, "I have a script." I take his script to ABC. Now, Happy Days is pretty popular. The Fonz is popular. I have a little cachet. They go, "All right, we're going to buy the script, but we're going to ask for a new writer."
Oh my
I go
God.
back to Sly. I say, "Sly, the good news is they're buying the script. The bad news is they want a new writer." He said, "Henry, don't do this to me. Don't let them do this to me. It's my script." I went back to ABC. I said, I know. Here is all the money. I need the script back." They said, "We don't do that." I said, I know. Here's the money. I need the script back. They said, "Okay." I give Sly his script back. A year and a half later, Rocky comes out.
Whoa, that's an amazing story. I had no idea you had done that. That's really cool.
It was so cool. And I'm so happy that I had the presence of mind. But when you know Sly, you just know the depth of his talent.
Wow.
So
Also-
I thought, you know what?
also-
It's not fair.
His
Nobody should write this man's script.
His passion for his work, his passion for what, look, you can't put a dollar sign on that. This goes back to what I said about owning the room when you're auditioning.
You're exactly right.
That's what this is all about. It's not about, look, I got a house in Bel Air because I'm a successful actor. You get a high at a 99-seat little black box theater, much more than you're going to get a high because look what I can afford as an actor. But my gosh, I've heard him talk about, not that story. I've never heard that version of it. But what I have heard, how he put his blood into that writing that script. And he'd never really written anything before, had he?
Well, no, he hadn't anything produced before.
Okay.
But he wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote.
By the way, it's Little League time.
Yeah,
I think it is Little League time, and we got to let you.
Wait 1 second, Henry. I can't let you go without, because I know how much you've done for dyslexia and all of that, and I think we should end on that note because I want to give you that platform.
All right, then I'm say this. I will say this to, first of all, to any young person who is listening, I will say how you learn has nothing to do with how brilliant you are. That your grades in school will not in any way inhibit you meeting your destiny if you work on yourself, train yourself, and your tenacity keeps plowing through to get you where you want to go. To the parents, your child learns differently. It is wiring in their mind. It's hereditary. They are not being the way they are because they want to be idiots. They don't want to make a problem. It's the way they are living. And believe me, they know. Your job is to support them every single minute of every day they're awake. They're going to say to you, oh, you have to say that, you're my parent. Oh, you know what? They hear every positive word you say to them, and they need it to breathe.
That was fantastic. Yeah,
That was awesome.
seriously. I'm so glad to hear that. Did your dad, by the way, come around in the end? I know that I read that. Oh,
Really?
no.
No, I was a different father because now my parents escaped Nazi Germany.
Sure.
They gave me a good education. I lived in a roof over my head and ate and went to college, and so I'm grateful. But as human beings, they never got me, and when they did, it was too late. I didn't care anymore because I figured it out on myself, and I promised that I would be a completely different parent. So I learned from that.
Wow.
You're awesome, Henry.
Wow.
What a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
It has
Thank
been
you.
such a pleasure. Please enjoy your grandson's game, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Meant
you.
a lot.
Thanks
to
for
both of
asking.
us. Oh, without a doubt. Take care, Henry. Bye-bye.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Hey, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button in the corner of the video so that you don't miss any of our future YouTube podcasts.